How can you use the grid rules to win your case at your initial application, and is it very likely? I'm Jonathan Ginsberg. I'm a Social Security disability attorney. And if you follow my channel, you know that there are 3 ways to win disability benefits. One is called meeting a listing. The second is called meeting a grid rule. The third is called proving that your functional capacity for work is less than what would be required in competitive employment. And the grid rules fascinate a lot of people because it's a really interesting argument for disability. I've got a website devoted to it called gridrules.net, gridrules.net. And the grid rules, also called the medical vocational guidelines, are a way to win disability even if you have capacity to do some work. And basically what the grid rules say is after you're age 50, assuming you have a limited say a high school education or not really a lot of education beyond that, although sometimes you can use people who are college educated can fit within the grid rules, who've got a physical problem that limits them physically. Those people can be approved even if they could still do some sort of work. And really the notion behind the grid rules is if you're a construction worker and you're 53 years old, you've got back problems, even if you could do sit-down kind of work, you don't really have any transferable skills outside of being a construction worker, and no one's going to hire you. And Social Security recognizes that. So the grid rules are a way for people with physical issues, with limited education, limited work skills, to be found disabled, even if the medical record does not say they can't do anything at all. Because even if they could do certain types of administrative sit-down work in an office, they're not trained for that. No one's going to hire them for that. So that's what the grid rules are. So obviously, it's a way for people to get approved a little bit easier than you would otherwise. You don't have to show a significant medical problem like you do with the listings, and you don't have to show all kind of vocational issues that you can't do anything at all under the functional capacity theory. This is a little bit easier, more mechanical way to win. And if you're applying on your own, and a lot of people do apply on their own, it doesn't bother me or offend me in any way, someone wants to apply on their own, how do you use the grid rules? Well, the first thing I would tell you to do is to try to understand what they are. And go to my website, gridrules.net, and look at the grid rules and see which one applies to you. For example, 201.04 could apply to you, or 202.04 could apply to you. Just look at the ones where in the column it says disabled, and see, is your education, your work skills, does that all line up? And if you're trying to figure out whether your past work has transferable skills, I wouldn't too worry about that, but you can look up Dictionary of Occupational Titles and look up the transferable skills for the type of job you have and kind of make a guess on that. But what I would do is when you apply at the end of the application, and I've done hundreds of applications, there's a place for comments or additional information. And I would say in that comment space, please evaluate my case using the medical vocational guidelines or using the grid rules, and specifically look at this case as possibly meeting grid rule 201.04 or 202.04 or whatever the particular grid rule might be, and tell them that. Because a lot of the adjudicators, the people that make decisions at the initial and recon stage, they're not judges, they're claims adjusters. They work really hard, but they're not paid a lot of money, and they're not really trained to interpret the grid rules. And a lot of them have never heard of them, quite frankly. So, if you can just trigger in somebody's mind, hey, there's something out there called the grid rules, let me take it to my supervisor and see if this applies, you may get lucky, and they may look at it and say, yeah, you meet the grid rule, therefore you are in fact disabled. Now, I wouldn't get your hopes up. I wouldn't assume that's going to happen. It could happen. I don't see a lot of cases approved at initial or recon under the grid rules. It's almost always at a hearing stage. But I think it's not a bad idea, if you think you meet a grid rule, to identify the grid rule and to put it into the record early so that if a judge is looking at it, trigger that in the judge's mind. Maybe you meet a grid rule, or maybe you get the right person at the adjudication office to look at it and say, yeah, you maybe meet a grid rule. I'll bring it up sometimes to adjudicators, and I'll tell you, most of the time they're like, we're not authorized to do that, or I don't know anything about that. But sometimes you get somebody who's like, let me take a look at that. And every once in a while, though, yeah, your client does fit that, we'll go ahead and issue an approval. So it's definitely worth doing if you're doing this on your own. Real simple to do. Like I said, just when you fill your application out, the last page is a place for additional notes or comments, just stick it in there. Please evaluate this case under the grid rule, just like you would if it's a listing case. Please evaluate this case under listing 4.03 or whatever the listing may be, and just tell them to do it. And sometimes they will, and you may be one of the lucky ones and get approved under the grid rules that way. So that's how you do it, but I think it's worthwhile educating yourself about how they work. Again, the website I've got to have examples of it, and a lot of information about the grid rules, and I think it's something to look at. If you're over 50, regardless, just take a look at it and see, hey, maybe this applies and maybe you can use it to win your case early, and I hope you do. And like I said, even though I represent people for a living, if somebody gets approved early, more power to you. Save the money and get your benefits and move on down the road. So that's how you use the grid rules. That's how I use them. Take a look at them. Again, gridrules.net. If you are confused by it, you want to talk to me about it, I've got a website. I actually have a place on the gridrules.net. You can request a case evaluation or go to my website at ssdanswers.com. I've got a free Secrets to Winning Disability Survival Kit there. You can download that. It'll come by email, or you can ask for a case evaluation. I do represent clients in all 50 states. Social Security hearings are now virtual by phone or video, so I can represent people no matter where they are. In fact, I've got hearings all over the country right now. And if I can be of assistance to you, I'd love to do so. Again, fill out a case evaluation. Leave me a comment in the video here. If you liked this video, thought it was helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and let me know what you think. And if you have any ideas for additional videos, happy to hear that as well. So for now, this is Jonathan Ginsberg, Social Security Disability Attorney, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks a lot. Hi, this is Jonathan Ginsberg, and I hope you found this video helpful. If you'd like to know more about how to win your Social Security disability case, I'd like to invite you to download my Secrets to Getting Approved Early Survival Kit that I created just for people like you. Currently, I'm making the survival kit available at no cost, and I encourage you to grab your copy now. Some of the topics I cover include: how do I know if I have a case? Is it the right time for me to file my claim? 9 common mistakes that can doom your case. The 3 must-have arguments you use to win your case. And a topic that every disability claimant wants to know: how to avoid trick questions from the judge. If you or a loved one need to win Social Security disability benefits, you'll find the Survival Kit essential reading. Download your Survival Kit right now and at no cost. Just visit ssdanswers.com/survival and sign up. It's that easy. Please act now. And as always, I wish you the best.